Hey everyone, today is Monday, October 26th, and here is today's Monday Morning Minute for the upcoming week. For today, we'll keep it short and simple. I just want to talk about our reading coming up this week, and then we'll jump to critical response number 5. So this week, again within this broader unit around culturally sustaining assessment, we have one article that I'm asking you to read. It's by Trumbull and Nelson Barber, and it's about Indigenous assessment. And it's about 11 pages long. It's full of really, really interesting and I would contend important information for us to kind of sift through and let marinate a bit, especially as we look to our future classrooms. And just some big ideas to be thinking about as you read through their really wonderful synthesis is, first of all, they talk about how for Native children, in their words, Western schooling is not harmonious with their cultural worldviews and ways of interacting with adults and peers to learn and demonstrate learning. That is the fundamental issue that they're responding to here. They also talk about the importance of what they call cultural validity in assessment. So psychometricians are really interested in validity, right? And making sure that whatever we set out to assess is what we're actually assessing. But these authors bring in the cultural aspect here, that it also needs to be culturally valid. And they talk about and even give some suggestions about how that can be done. They point specifically to formative assessment as sort of the best hope that we as teachers have, because typically we have more control over it. We're able to tailor those formative assessments towards our students, our specific students and their needs. And so I hope that there are some helpful implications for you all too. And then crucially, they also talk about the interlinked nature, the indelible sort of imprint of language upon culture. So when we're thinking about culturally sustaining pedagogy and assessment, we need to also be thinking about linguistically sustaining pedagogy and assessment. And they talk a bit about how the demise of language and any sort of program to maintain and sustain home languages or heritage languages, I think is the term they use in the article, that has done so much damage among Indigenous folks. And sort of a major takeaway that I want you to be thinking about as you are reading this is that you may not have very many Indigenous students, but even so, I think that these ideas are super important, not only for Indigenous students, but they will also be useful for you in any sort of classroom that you will enter. Especially all of the work around language and all of the ideas and suggestions that they provide, these sort of like case studies that they share, are totally relevant for English language learners, or what, in the research we more often refer to as multilingual learners. So I guess I want to put that out from the outset, that even if you don't anticipate, teaching on a reservation, let's say, or in an area where you just have a lot more Indigenous students, these principles, I think, are going to be so helpful for whatever context that you enter. Okay, and so with that in mind, for our 5th critical response coming up this week, here are some questions. The first, I just want to know about your big takeaways in terms of what they call indigenizing assessments and also indigenizing assessment practices. Like, after reading that article, what's on top for you? What are the big ideas that you're still thinking about? And then just secondly, how might you apply those takeaways to your future practice? How can you actually potentially use some of these ideas and suggestions or implications and make them work in your own classroom? So that's all I have for us this week. I'm so excited to spend some time next week with you all on Election Day in our synchronous session. And please take care of yourselves until then. All right, cheers.